All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. We might still have some parents that roll in, but, they were late, so sounds like their problem. Really, we wanted to take this opportunity to, for the most part, just recap the last year. It's been just about a year since I came on. And so just kind of recap if you guys aren't in the room every Sunday. So you might not have heard everything that's happened or everything that's going on, so we wanted to just share a little bit about that. Just some communication on some things that have happened in the last year and then plans for the next year. So we wanted to start off by just kind of recapping some of the wins that have happened in the last year. And actually, before I do that, I want to just say really quick that I consider it a massive privilege to get to work with your kids. I love this place. I love your students. It was a little bit of a gap between the last time I was a youth pastor and starting here, and there was a lot of time spent in that time of finding a church that felt like the right fit, both for myself and for that church, and just figuring everything out, and I think all of the pieces perfectly aligned here, and we wouldn't change a thing. This is where I believe myself and my kids and my wife were all meant to be, and so I absolutely love it. I've loved the last year of getting to know all of your kids and building relationships and getting to know each one of them. They're all very different from each other, but I love all of them, and like I said, I consider it a privilege that I get to work with them. So over the last year, we've had a lot of really awesome things happen. We have seen nearly 100% increase in attendance on Sunday nights from like the number that we're at now compared to the number we were at just before I started or when they finished up. I know I kind of came on at the beginning of summer when they weren't really meeting, but like at the end of that time, they were averaging around 20-ish, and we're now averaging upper 30, 40 on a Sunday night. So we've basically doubled the number that we have on a Sunday night attendance, which is really awesome. Our Sunday nights, we changed the model up a lot, and I think it's really worked. Our students seem to really engage with it. In the past, Sunday nights were just a small group time when they would meet in different host homes with just their small group and talk about the lesson that was taught that morning at Sunday school. And it worked, but we just changed up that model and switched to what we do now, which is we have 45 minutes to an hour of free time where, depending on what the weather's like now that it's getting warm out, thank Jesus, we can be outside playing 9-square, kickball, wiffle ball, whatever, for that first bit of time. During the winter months, we played 4-square a lot on the floor back here, kind of mangled Brad's pickleball court, I'm sorry. And we have an Xbox that a few friends of mine donated to our group that's in the youth room, so they have like 45 minutes to an hour to do whatever they want as a group. And then we come together in here, we do a time of worship, we watch a lyric video and sing along with it, have fun, jump around, act like fools. And then either myself or Jordan will teach a 15, 20-minute message, and then the rest of the time is spent broken off with their small groups, and then they discuss the message that they just heard rather than talking about what was talked about in the morning. And it's been really great. The numbers don't lie that they seem to engage with it with the amount of attendance that has increased, but also on a harder to quantify level, I think our students are engaging more. They're starting to take a deeper look at their own faith and engage with that, and it's hard to quantify. We can't really throw a number up on the screen to say, look at how much deeper they're going or how much more impact it's having, but if you talk to the small group leaders that have been around through it, there is a deeper conversation happening, and the students are engaging more, and so we think that's awesome. Because those numbers have increased quite a bit, we have also added to our team. So in the last year, we have added 4 new volunteers to our team. So we've had Callie Fisher has joined the team as a middle school girls leader, and she's absolutely killed it. It's crazy to me that She graduated right after I started, and yet has been able to jump in. Like I sometimes forget that she just graduated because she is so mature beyond her years, and she's just been killing it with our middle school girls, and they absolutely love her. So Callie has come on as a middle school girls leader. Daniel Bovey, which is Callie's boyfriend, he has come on as a middle school boys leader, and he has also been killing it. And then also with the middle school boys, we have added Scotty Hepler, who is a middle school boy himself. So perfectly suited for the role, and he's a fairly new addition to our team, but he has just been rocking it out, and the kids he didn't miss a beat on just instantly jumping in. I think his first Sunday, he walked in and immediately jumped onto the four-square court and started spiking the ball in people's faces. So the boys have loved that. And then Emily Bloom just started as a high school girls leader, joining up with Hannah Lehman. So for the first time in a while, we have at least 2 leaders with each small group. So that's awesome. We love having as much wisdom and as much experience in the room to pour into those kids. And I want you guys to understand that of the 9 people on this team of small group leaders, we don't have warm bodies. Like, we don't just have adults in the room because we need adults in the room. These 9 adults want to be here. They care so much about your kids. They care about their growth with Jesus, and they care about their lives, and they cry with them, they hurt with them, they celebrate and laugh with them. Like, our small group leaders are rock stars, and they love your kids. So I wouldn't put somebody in the room just to have somebody in the room. Like, I want people on this team who are here for your kids, and that's true of all 9 of these people on my team. So other than that, back in November, we went to Discover State Youth Conference, and we took the largest group we've ever taken to that group, or to that trip. 32 students went on that trip, which was awesome, a little bit chaotic, a little bit crazy. 32 students is a lot of students. But once again, it's just a testament to how our students are engaging with this group, that we had such a large group that wanted to go on that trip. Last summer, we baptized 2 youth students and 2 more teen age people. They weren't really part of our group, but they were teens that chose to be baptized with Crossbridge, and then we had 2 students of our own that also were baptized. So that's awesome. And we've also already had 4 more that have expressed interest or expressed a desire to get baptized this summer, which is awesome. I love to hear that students want to be baptized, and that was just kind of not even really, if you'll see scrolling here, one of the things that's coming up is this Church Words, which is the series that we just started last week, looking at some words in the church, and one of them that we're looking at next week is the idea of baptism, and we will present a little bit more information about what that looks like, and we'll see from there. The students that have expressed a desire to be baptized were completely unprompted by me or anything. They're just ones that have come up to me and said, hey, I've really been thinking about it, and I think I want to get baptized. So the fact that we're already at 4 students who want that is awesome. We have also seen an increase in the amount of students coming on a Sunday morning. We were averaging around 17, and now we average around 22, 23 students on a Sunday morning. So we're seeing that number increase as well. Back in January, we had an event called One Night. We spent the entire month of January on a series called One, looking at this idea of picking one person in your life that doesn't know Jesus, that you're kind of going to make your mission to introduce to Jesus, and make it your goal to share the gospel with them. And that series ended with this event called One Night, which was an opportunity for them to invite that one person to youth with them for a fun night of laser tag. We turned this room into a laser tag arena, and it was all kinds of craziness. And it was a great time, and we had 67 students show up for that, and of those 67, we had 27 of them that were guests that had never been to our church before. So, way beyond anything we were expecting. We ordered pizza for that night, and it was the end of January, and we're like, we we would be shocked to see like 35, 40 kids show up, and then we were out of pizza in like 2 seconds, and like, I don't know what to do now. Like, we had so many kids show up, and it was just a blast. It was such a fun time. So it was great, way beyond anything we ever expected. We just had D-Now a couple months ago, and we always fill the stage up with an awesome band for the D-Now weekend and do our worship sessions and go crazy with that. And we actually had 3 students that participated in the band in some way. We had 2 that played for every worship session throughout the weekend. Cooper Wall and Noah Boylan, they both rocked it out. We also had Braden Corson, who wanted to be a part of the band but got sick. He practiced with us at our practice earlier in the week to be a part of D-Now, but then ended up not being able to be at the event, which is, I know, he was super bummed about it. But at the same time, we're still pumped that we had 3 students that wanted to use their talents and be a part of the band, and it was awesome to see them up here leading their peers in worship. Another thing that we love to celebrate is that on any given Sunday morning, as you look around our church, you'll see our students plugged in different ways, or throughout on Saturdays at C3 Sports, all these different things where you can see our students not just coming here to consume, not just coming here to be a part of the things that are for them, like I'm going to show up for youth group and then I'm going to go home, but they are here helping Piper out, doing stuff with Bridge Kids, and they coach for C3 Sports. They run the concession stand for C3 Sports. They do all kinds of stuff that they're involved in the life of Crossbridge beyond just the youth stuff that's for them. And it's awesome to look around the church and look around and see the ways that our next generation is already beginning to serve and beginning to be a part of what we're doing as a whole in the church. So that's just a little bit of the successes that we've seen over the last year, the way we've seen our group grow and begin to engage more with what it is we're doing, what it is we're offering, this relationship with Jesus, and encouraging them to take that serious and take that into their own hands, that it's something that they're responsible for to grow their faith, and they're really owning up to that, and they've started to do that, and we love to see that. Over the last year, we've also noticed some areas where we can improve in how we run the ministry and how things happen. For one thing, communication. We've noticed over the last year, we've already come across, I think, 10 to 12 families that, for whatever reason, weren't a part of our email subscriber list. And so I try to send out an email every 2 to 3 weeks with, here's what's going on in the group, here's the upcoming stuff, here's all of the events in the next month or 2, what you need to know about those things, and contact info for anybody that you need to know about, all that kind of stuff. I try to send those out 2 to 3 weeks, or every 2 to 3 weeks, and we were hearing from parents that they weren't getting any information like that and felt out of the loop. And so one thing that we want to make sure is that you are receiving our youth emails. And so just earlier this week, I sent out a reminder email about this meeting. And a few weeks before that, I sent out an email with info about this meeting and about our pajama movie night and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you haven't received those types of emails, please see me before you leave and give me your email address so that I can get you in that list, because I don't want you to miss out on all of that information. So that's just one thing we want to step up the communication and make sure that one thing that's tough for me is that I live in my head, and so I know the things that are going on in my head, and sometimes I forget that y'all don't live up here. And so one thing that I'm going to make an effort in this next year is to take the things that are in here and make sure that they get out to everybody else. And so one thing that I ask of you is that if you ever do feel out of the loop, or you feel like you're missing something, or you haven't been told something, or you just have questions, never hesitate to use these. This is my email address and my phone number. So please save both of these so that you have them, and never hesitate to reach out and ask whatever it is you want to know for clarification or whatever the case, whether it's information about an upcoming event, trip, whatever, or if it's just, hey, my student came home and said something about this thing that happened at youth, and I just want to clarify and make sure that I don't need to be concerned or whatever. I always want to clear up. I want to have those conversations, so use those things. I'm always here to have those conversations. And the other thing is, once again, with the size of our group and the way things have grown, there are times where security has been difficult. What comes to mind is the Discover trip. We had 32 students go. We had 5 adults there, and we did our best to kind of monitor situations and everything that needed to happen. But looking back at it, we could have been more intentional about the way that we offered security and the way that we offered supervision in those areas. And so what we'd like to do is, going forward, any trips, anything like that, there will be stricter things put in place. Always having leaders stationed in areas where students might be, so that there are always eyes and ears on situations, and making sure that nothing happens that shouldn't be happening. Because our priority is that every one of your students walks through this door and they feel safe and they feel seen. And so we want all of your students to come in here and engage with somebody. I would love for that to be me. I love to have relationships with your students, but I also know that I can't be a million places at once, and that's why I have filled my team with rock star leaders, because all I care about is that your student has somebody here that they connect with, that they feel loved by, and that they can come in here and feel like they belong, feel like they have somebody that misses them when they aren't here. And then beyond that, once again, I want them to feel safe. I want you to feel like they're safe. And so that is a greater effort that we're going to put in this year of making sure that that is the truth. We have some information to share about Sunday mornings going forward. I know Jordan wanted to say a few words about that before we get into exactly what's happening going forward. So I'm going to invite Jordan to join me up here, and then we can share exactly what's happening. Yes. Yeah, this is, yeah. No, I don't think, I have a phone in my office with a cord that runs to nothing. So, yeah, this is my cell phone, so yeah, you can shoot a text message.
Are we live?
I'm a millennial, so I prefer a text message.
Are we live?
If you call me, it's probably going to go to voicemail, and then I'll know who you are, and then I'll shoot you a text message and say, hey, what's up?
Are we live?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Hey, everyone. I know most of you. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. I'll share a couple of things. First, a year ago, when we hired Nick, we asked him, Brad and I, to do a couple of things. And as we've survived the first year of this transition of 14 years of cultivated ground with the youth ministry, bringing Nick in, Brad and I wish we could have done a couple different things, which is why I'm up here throwing ourselves under the bus, because Nick has taken a lot of bullets for things this last year. First and foremost is, one, we wish we would have done a parent meeting at the very beginning, because we had about 12 families, like he said, that weren't even on our mailing list for our youth group. And so for the first 4 months, weren't receiving emails. And we learned about it after the Discover Conference. And so we had to go back and backtrack and get everybody his communication and whatnot. Second thing we wish we would have done, and I'll say it, I'll explain it and then say it. When we hired Nick, Nick had never done a Sunday morning experience. That was kind of Trevor's thing that a lot of churches don't usually do for their teenagers. When you look around the area, Pathway, LifeBridge, Brookside, Grace, I think those are four. Pine Hills don't offer a youth program in the morning. Most of them do either midweek or Sunday nights. We were doing it both because Trevor was preaching in the morning, and then doing just small groups at night the way he was doing it. But Nick, for the 5 years of experience he's had, and most youth ministries around, did some form of sermon and small group time all together. And his reasoning for it was because then those who come Sunday night, if they missed the sermon in the morning, numbers in the morning were lower already. We were averaging about 8 to 9 middle schoolers and about 8 to 9 high schoolers, both services. And so toward the end of Trevor's, Nick's passion was always in the night. Didn't really know what to do with the Sunday morning, so Brad and I asked him, hey, rather than just canning the whole thing at the beginning, because this is, as Brad shared this morning, kind of the sacred cow of what was Trevor's ministry, let's give it 1 year so that as the new guy, you don't come in and then just get crucified for taking away Sunday mornings from the teens. With that, we also were assuming, because most churches, when they bring in a new youth pastor, they see a 25% decrease in attendance. That didn't happen with us. We were averaging 17 students on a Sunday morning. We are now averaging 22 on a bad Sunday morning, and there were times when we were seeing up to 36 students in that room, which never happened in the last 4 or 5 years. And so what we asked Nick to do, thinking we would see 25% decrease, is combine the students into one service, so that way there's not any weeks where you're preaching to like 3 or 4 kids, and that way you can utilize your time the best as well. Unfortunately, that didn't happen where it was a smooth transition. That first Sunday in August, we had 36 students in the morning, and that's just crazy. Well, again, 12 families weren't on the email list when Nick explained the whole philosophy for what we were doing and switching email or switching services and combining everything, and so created a ton of chaos, ton of confusion. And Nick, was very nice to Brad and I, but obviously did not sign up for this type of situation and wasn't sure exactly what Sunday mornings would look like. Long story short, they're just proven ineffective for us. They've turned in the last couple of weeks of just a fellowship time for the students over there, which is still a great win. But the goal and Nick's whole heart reason why he wants Sunday mornings to be not available for a youth program over there is because his whole heart and philosophy is about the youth engaging in the bigger church with the church at least sometime during the week so that when they graduate high school, they know what to expect. And so that's why Sunday nights are set up like a youth service. And then if you're sitting in here, you've probably seen some teens as we've talked to different families who are engaging more in here or volunteering throughout, because the whole heart about it is Nick would rather have teens over here anyway. It's just been getting a little bit too chaotic. That room wasn't created to have 25, 20 of which are middle school boys and girls. Very crazy, all in one room. And so the decision what we had asked Nick to do, wait a year, is say, hey, wait a year for us as we make this transition and then stop doing Sunday morning youth. And so that's the direction we're heading. We are going. Today was actually the official last Sunday morning youth. He'll explain moving forward what that'll look like, and then he'll talk to the teens about it tonight. But I wanted to be the one to explain all of that because, one, there were so many communication pieces that went into this. A couple of the families were thankful that you came and shared with us and talked with us and all of that fun stuff. But Nick was, if we could do things differently, one, we would have had a parent meeting at the beginning. Never thought about it because Trevor never did one in 14 years. And so it had been so long that Brad and I didn't even think about doing it. And two, we wish we would have just canceled Sunday mornings right away just because of the chaos that it caused for different kids and families, especially those who are introverted and like their quiet and peace and stuff. So all that being said, I guess I'll share my last bit while I'm up here. Thanks for just staring at me the whole time. I appreciate it.
You're looking good. You're doing great.
I will actually be stepping away from youth group starting at the end of this school year. I was supposed to step away last year, and then Trevor quit. And so I was actually supposed to stop before the school year even started, and we were going to get another leader in here. It's just too hard with me co-leading and especially preaching Sunday morning and then coming Sunday night and trying to be available and energized for the teens. It's too much. And so I'll finish out the school year, but that's why we brought in the rock star of Scotty Hepler to kind of take my place for the middle school boys. And it's a good year for me to step away because this 8th grade class that I've kind of been able to grow with and see is going up to high school anyway, and so it just makes sense. But I'm ready to have my Sunday nights back, and we have not the most youth volunteers we've ever had. We're even going to be adding more, try to get a 3rd leader for each group if we can, because the student size is just growing. But all right, I talked way longer than I should have, but I'm a pastor.
Talk a little bit more.
Okay, what you got?
Talk to them about how we were actually going to can before COVID, Sunday morning anyway.
Oh, you want me to go back to Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm supposed to explain this. So before COVID, if you're watching online, we're glad you're here. Before COVID, so Trevor was actually already gearing up to can Sunday morning. It was just something he had been processing. When I was in youth group with Trevor, we had one service. Then we went to split services, but then there would be weeks where we would have literally 0 teenagers show up one service and then 12 show up the second service. And so Trevor would prepare a message and have nobody, or like 4 and 8 or 12 and 10. And so he was gearing up to can it and kind of go similar to a route that we've done now. Then COVID hit, and when we all were allowed to come back, Trevor realized how much kids just needed as many opportunities to connect and be around other kids because of all the isolation that school had. So 2021 and 2022, he was like, I can't can it now. I just want to provide every opportunity. And then 2023 hit, and Trevor decided to step down. And so we were already gearing back up, but he was having those conversations. So this is something that's been in the works for the last 5 years. Part of why we wanted, and the hard part is, like, the behind the scenes stuff. We didn't want Nick to come in, crucify the sacred cow, and then everybody be like, this new guy stinks. And we're like, he does in other ways, but not this way. And so I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
Can I get off the stage now?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, so like Jordan said, moving forward, Sunday morning youth will not be a thing. This morning was our last Sunday morning youth. We encourage going forward. One, we want your students either to be in here, and I will be in here for both services. So I would love to sit with your teens. If we can have all of our students sitting together, I think that would be awesome. But at the same time, if they want to sit with you as a family, that is also great. But also, like we said, it provides them a space then to get involved in something that interests them, whether that's helping Piper in one of her rooms, or hopping up in the tech booth and learning how to run ProPresenter, run the slides, whatever, point a camera, or whatever, to be involved, to serve the church more than just being consumers and being a part of the things that are happening. It gives them the opportunity to connect to the church as a whole. That is one thing. Studies have shown that if students are engaged and in the church, whether that's attending a service or serving in an area of ministry outside of their own program, they're more likely to stay engaged with church after they graduate and are no longer a youth group student. Because if all they know is youth group when they graduate, it's kind of like, what do I do? But if they know how to be a member of the church, they know how to be a part of the body beyond what I do, then when they graduate, they're already sticking and they already know what it is that they're supposed to do. So that is our plan moving forward Sunday mornings. That is one of the benefits of the Sunday night model, is that rather than in the past, their Jesus time was just broken up by 8 hours. They got their teaching, and then 8 hours later, they got their discussion time. Now it's all together. They still get a message. They still hear a biblical lesson that they get taught, and then they just get to immediately go talk and process, which is more helpful for them. The biggest thing for Gen Z is that they want to process, and they want their thoughts heard, and they want to be able to express what they think about something. So to giving them the time to process through what they've heard and being able to engage with it is what helps them make those developments. And so providing all of that time in one space then opens the door for them to be able to do other things. So in order to fill the gap of just that Sunday morning, missing that Sunday morning, what we are trying to do as we move into a little bit more of our plans for the future is more pop-up event type things. So like, oh, perfect timing, look at that. It scrolled right when I needed it to. It's like I planned that. Our pajama movie night will be in just a couple weeks on Friday night in this room, where we're just going to come dressed in our coziest with the popcorn machine running, have a popcorn bar and soda and all that stuff, and we're just going to watch a movie together. And the goal going forward is just to have more of those every month or so, have something going on for your students to come be a part of here at the church. And just fill the gaps with some of those things, whether it's that movie night or like our one night event with the laser tag, or whether it's hey, we're all going to meet up at Sky Zone, or whatever the case. We'll have those types of pop-up events going on. Other than that, some other plans for the future that we have. So Discover was an interesting event. I was already apprehensive about it going into it. It's just a very high cost. For you guys who paid it, you are aware it is a lot of money for a weekend trip, and the cost has continued to rise while the quality of the event has continued to drop. And so I was already kind of going into it with, unless they just blow me away, this is probably the last Discover that we do. Now, the plan that I had to replace Discover, I've had to push down the way a bit, because in the fall now I'll be welcoming my daughter in October. And so, thank you. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of the hard work here. My wife's not doing nothing. Don't watch this, honey. But yeah, my original plan was to find a different fall conference to take our students to. Now with baby on the way, I don't really want to find a trip and leave town, whether that's because I will be gone with a baby almost here, or having just had a newborn, definitely not leaving then. So for now, what we're going to do, and I'm actually really excited about this idea, and this might be the new norm, we'll evaluate after it happens, but is in late September sometime, we are going to have a DNOW type event, a local conference here at the church, where we'll meet here in the morning on a Saturday morning, have breakfast together, and then go, depending on what we can work out, what's available, either go as one big group and serve somewhere, or go out in our 4 small groups and serve in different places, doing something, serving in different organizations or in schools, or whatever we can make happen. But we'll spend the morning in service, and then we'll come back together for lunch as a group, and then break off once again with our small groups to go do something fun with their group, whether they go bowling or go axe throwing or whatever they want to do as a group, and then come back together for a cookout in the evening and a worship set from our band out on the outdoor stage. And we'll just do like a full day conference here in town that I think is going to be really awesome, for a chance to have some service, get the kids serving in their community, and also spending some time together and engaging in that way. So it's going to be really awesome. I'm really excited about it, and more information will come as we get closer to planning that and making that happen. But we're excited for that in the fall. And then one thing that I would like to re-engage with, and it will probably look different than it did in the past, but is restarting our youth podcast, having students on to talk about things and hear their thoughts. Once again, Gen Z wants to be heard. They want to have a voice and be able to process and speak out the way they think about things. And so I want to provide a space to make that happen. And so still figuring out exactly the details to that, but that is something that I would like to see with the first of the year as we get back into 2025 is making our youth podcast something that is consumable again, whether it's on a bi-weekly or monthly basis, putting that out so that our students can engage with it, they can have a voice, they can be on it and speak, and also hear what their peers have to say. So those are just a couple of the things that we have planned for the future. All right. Well, and if nobody has any other questions, let me pray for us really quick, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. God, thank you so much for these parents and for their willingness to allow their students to be a part of our group and to engage with you. And we're thankful that they trust us and they trust our leaders to pour into their students. God, we just pray that we make the most of the time that we have with them, that we are able to have impactful discussions and uplifting relationships with their students, that we can help them to know you, help them to feel your love and know that you care about them and that you want to know them and you want to have a relationship with them. God, we just pray that this next year of ministry at Crossbridge is one that goes beyond anything that we could ever expect, and that we continue to impact the next generation. We continue to reach more and more students and help point them to you and help them to feel your presence and know that you care about them. And it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen. All right, thank you guys for being here.